Last year, I was earning more than I ever had. Good salary, no major debt, nothing crazy going on. But every single month, I'd look at my bank account around the 25th, and there was almost nothing left. $87. That was my number. And the worst part? I kept trying to fix it. Every month started with a plan. Every month ended the same way. New budget on the first, broke by the third week. Over and over again like clockwork. I did everything the finance gurus told me to do. I downloaded the apps. I made the spreadsheets. I tracked every single penny across 20-something categories. And you know what happened? I lasted about 11 days before the whole system collapsed. Not because I was careless, because it was exhausting. I was spending more energy managing the budget than I was actually saving money. Then I tried the opposite extreme. No spending challenges, cutting everything to the bone, eating rice and beans, canceling anything that brought me joy, basically punishing myself into saving. And sure, it worked, for about 2 weeks. Then I'd snap, order a massive takeout feast, and feel worse than when I started. Then I tried the opposite extreme. No spending challenges, cutting everything to the bone, eating rice and beans, canceling anything that brought me joy, basically punishing myself into saving. And sure, it worked, for about 2 weeks. Then I'd snap, order a massive takeout feast, and feel worse than when I started. Here's the rule. It's called the one expense swap. Every month, you pick one spending habit, just one, and you find a smarter, cheaper alternative that gives you the same satisfaction or better. You're not removing anything from your life. You're upgrading how you get it. The gym becomes a home workout. 5 streaming services become 1. Takeout 3 times a week becomes meal prepping with better ingredients. Same enjoyment, fraction of the cost, and you only change one thing per month. Now, here's why this works on a level most people never think about. Neuroscientists at Stanford found that your brain's ability to form new habits depends entirely on focus. When you try to change 10 things at once, your prefrontal cortex, that's the decision-making center right here, gets completely overwhelmed. It burns through its energy budget before lunch. But when you give it a single target, something remarkable happens. Your brain's filtering system, called the reticular activating system, locks onto that one goal. Suddenly you notice opportunities everywhere. Better deals, smarter alternatives, creative solutions you would have walked right past before. Not because they weren't there, because your brain finally had the bandwidth to see them. So I started with the easiest swap I could think of, my morning coffee. I was spending $6.75 every single morning at a coffee shop. That's not a latte problem. That's a $200 a month habit hiding in plain sight. I bought a $30 French press and a bag of quality beans. My cost per cup dropped to 52 cents. Same morning ritual, same caffeine. Honestly, better coffee. Month 1 savings, $187. From one swap. Month 2, I looked at lunch. I was buying food near the office almost every day. $14, $15 a pop without even thinking about it. So I started meal prepping on Sundays. Not sad desk salads, actual good food. Grilled chicken, roasted veggies, stuff I genuinely looked forward to eating. My cost per lunch went from $14.50 to $3.20. Monthly savings, $226. And honestly, I was eating better than before. Month 3 was entertainment. My partner and I were spending close to $40 every time we went to the movies. Tickets, popcorn, drinks. We started doing home movie nights instead. A cheap projector we already had, homemade popcorn, a bottle of wine. It actually became something we looked forward to, more than the theater. Monthly savings, $198. We didn't lose a single experience. We just swapped where it happened. Month 4, fitness. I was paying $65 a month for a gym I visited maybe twice a week. I canceled it and started working out in the park and at home. Free YouTube programs, a yoga mat, some resistance bands. The fresh air alone made it better. And I actually started going more often because there was no commute to the gym. Monthly savings, $65. Month 5, I tackled groceries, not by eating less, but by shopping smarter. I swapped the premium supermarket for a combination of a local farmer's market and a budget grocery store. Same quality, often fresher, significantly cheaper. I also started buying seasonal produce instead of whatever looked good, and I switched about half my staples to store brands. Nobody in my house noticed the difference. Monthly savings, $324. Month 6, I looked at how I was getting to work. Between gas, parking, and the occasional Uber, I was bleeding close to $300 a month on transportation. I started biking 3 days a week on an e-bike I'd bought months ago and barely used. The other 2 days I carpooled. Monthly savings, $268. And I was arriving at work more awake and less stressed than sitting in traffic ever made me. Now let me show you what this looks like when you stack these swaps together. Month 1, coffee, $187 saved. Month 2, lunch, $226. Month 3, entertainment, $198. Month 4, fitness, $65. Month 5, groceries, $324. Month 6, transportation, $268. Total monthly savings after 6 months, $1,268. Every single month. And I didn't give up a single thing I actually cared about. I just got it differently. But here's the step that turns savings into actual wealth. If that extra $1,200 just sits in your checking account, it will disappear. Trust me, your brain treats available money as spendable money. So every time I locked in a new swap, I set up an automatic transfer for the exact savings amount into a separate investment account. Not a round number, the exact amount. This is critical. Behavioral researchers call it mental accounting. Money in a separate labeled account feels different to your brain. You're 40% less likely to touch it. Same money, completely different behavior. And here's what people get wrong about this approach. They think swapping means downgrading, that you're trading your lifestyle for a savings account. But look at the actual result. Before, stressed, cluttered, spending mindlessly on things that didn't even register as enjoyable. After, intentional, organized, spending on things that actually matter, and building wealth at the same time. This isn't about having less. It's about being smarter about what you already have. But a biggest change wasn't in my bank account. It was in how I saw myself. After 6 months of these swaps, something shifted. I stopped thinking of myself as someone who needed to be fixed financially. I started seeing myself as someone who naturally makes smart choices. And that identity shift, that's where the real magic is. Because once you believe you're the kind of person who finds the smarter option, you stop needing rules. You stop needing willpower. It just becomes how you operate. The swaps stop being a strategy and start being who you are. $15,216. That's what 1 year of single expense swaps added up to. Same job, same salary, same city. I didn't start a side hustle. I didn't get a raise. I just swapped one thing each month and let the math do the rest. 15 grand that was always there. I was just handing it away to habits I didn't even enjoy. So here's what I want you to do. Not tomorrow, not next Monday. Right now. Think of the one expense in your life that would be the easiest to swap. Not the biggest, the easiest. Maybe it's your morning coffee. Maybe it's one streaming service. Maybe it's how you eat lunch 3 days a week. Write it down. That's your first swap. Give it 30 days. Just 30 days of doing that one thing differently. And when that becomes automatic, pick the next one. One swap. 1 month. Every month. Drop a comment and tell me. What's your first swap going to be? I read every single one. And if this made you think differently about your money, hit subscribe. Because we're building wealth one smart swap at a time. I'll see you in the next one.